Today, we are diving deep into a single, pivotal day, March 23rd, 2026. This was day 24 of a conflict that had the entire world holding its breath, because on this day, the story took a wild, unexpected turn. For 2 straight days, everyone had been bracing for a massive escalation. A 48-hour ultimatum the U.S. had given to Iran was literally ticking down to its final moments. Military forces were in position. A U.S. strike on Iran's critical infrastructure wasn't just a possibility, it felt absolutely inevitable. And then, just as that deadline was about to expire, the whole script got flipped on its head. The attack everyone was waiting for? It never came. Instead, we all got news that, well, it honestly felt like it came from a completely different reality. So what on earth happened in those final hours? Well, that's where our story really begins, with a sudden, almost unbelievable pause for diplomacy. This was the headline that just exploded everywhere. President Trump announced that after 2 days of what he called very good and productive conversations with Iran, all planned military action was off the table. At least for now. It was a total reversal, opening up this tiny 5-day window for peace and leaving everyone asking the same question. Is this a real breakthrough or just a tactical timeout? Okay, so to really get just how huge this 5-day pause is, we've got to rewind the clock a bit and look at the ultimatum that got us to this point in the first place. The demand from the White House was blunt. There was no room for negotiation. Iran had basically shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is a critical artery for the world's oil, and the U.S. gave them a simple choice: 48 hours to reopen it, or face devastating strikes. And you can really feel the tension building when you look at this timeline. The clock starts ticking on Saturday. By Sunday, you've got financial markets just freaking out. And by Monday evening, that clock was about to hit zero. The world was literally hours away from a massive war. But here's the thing. Iran wasn't just sitting back and waiting. They fired back at the American ultimatum by raising the stakes even higher, making some pretty serious threats of their own. You can see this really dangerous tit-for-tat game playing out right here. The U.S. threatens to hit Iran's power grid, and Iran's response? They promise immediate attacks on every single piece of energy and oil infrastructure across the whole region. It was a classic standoff. And their threats went way beyond just military tit-for-tat. They warned they'd mine communication lines in the Gulf, they threatened irreversible damage to oil supplies, and they even opened up an economic front, saying they'd go after international buyers of U.S. bonds. Basically, they were signaling that they were ready to inflict pain absolutely everywhere they could. And this is so important to remember. This 5-day diplomatic pause doesn't mean the fighting has stopped. Not at all. In fact, while the diplomats are talking, the wider regional conflict is still burning red hot. Look at this. On the very same day as these talks, Iran launched missiles at the Israeli city of Arad, injuring 84 people. Another missile slammed into Dimona. So let's be clear, these aren't abstract threats. These are active, real-world attacks happening on a key U.S. ally right now. And at the same time, you've got this other front heating up. Up on Israel's northern border, Israeli forces blew up a major strategic bridge in southern Lebanon. And as you can imagine, the reaction from Beirut was immediate alarm. The president of Lebanon called the strike unjustified and worried it was a prelude to a ground invasion. The real fear here is that this whole thing is about to spiral out of control and suck in another country. With all this talk of high-stakes diplomacy and military strategy, it's really easy to forget what's actually happening on the ground. Let's just take a second to look at the real-world cost of this war so far. Think about this. In just 24 days, over 1,400 people have been killed inside Iran. That's just a staggering number. It really brings home the human tragedy of all of this. And what's just heartbreaking is that out of that number, at least 204 were kids. It's a statistic that just stops you in your tracks, and it really shows you who pays the highest price in these conflicts. And the economic fallout is being felt all over the world. With that critical strait shut down, oil prices have just gone through the roof. We're talking over $112 a barrel for Brent crude. And this isn't just some abstract number on a screen, right? This means higher prices for pretty much everyone, everywhere. So all of this brings us right back to where we started. The sudden halt has created this very fragile 5-day window. Is it a real path to peace? Or is it just a pause to reload before an even bigger storm? So here's the bottom line. One terrifying countdown has just ended, only to be replaced by a new one. The world has been given a 5-day break, but the core problems and the actual fighting are still very much there. And the real question is, What happens when this clock runs out? And that's really the question we're all left with, isn't it? With missiles still flying and fighting still raging, can 5 days of talks actually stop a full-blown regional war? Is this a genuine chance for peace, or is it just the quiet before the storm? I guess the next 5 days are going to tell us everything.